I visited the actual location of my favorite 100 famous views of Edo, painted by Hiroshige Ando, to see what the scene looks like today. 091. Akiba Shrine Garden in Ukeji depicts the garden in the precincts of Akiba Shrine, which was located around the current Mukojima area. First, please use Applemap to see where this location was. It's about 6 kilometers northeast of Edo Castle, just across the Sumida River from Sensoji Temple. As you can see if you zoom in on the map a little more, it is just to the west of Hikifune Station, over the Mito Kaido Road. This is a capture of the Oedo Konjaku Meguri app on the iPad. The shrine symbol in the middle is the current location of the Akiba Shrine. I put a map of the time on top of it. The pink collar shows how large the grounds of this shrine were. Furthermore, superimpose this site on the current aerial photograph. You can see that it was about the same size as the Kisui and Tobu Hikifune Station redevelopment area on the right. Furthermore, as seen in the Tokyo historical map too, its size is comparable to the current site of Sensoji Temple. You can also see that it is larger than the Salamachi complex, which spans Tokyo Skytree Station and Ashige Station to the south of it. Let's take a closer look at the actual painting by Hiroshige. The Akiba Shrine in this contracted area was visited by many people in Edo at that time as a famous place for autumn leaves. You can see its autumn leaves depicted everywhere. The pond bends to the right, as seen on the map, and the autumn leaves and blue pine trees reflected in the water are also painted in different colors. What appears to be a metropolitan bird flits about the water's edge, and on the island to the right, an elderly couple in a retired lifestyle are depicted as travelers. In the bottom left-hand corner, there are 2 autumn leaf peepers, one of whom appears to be a geisha from Mukojima, and the other who is picking up a paintbrush at a tea house. The shaven-haired man in the tea house is said to be Hiroshige himself. See a map showing the current elevation difference here. Originally, this northern side of Tokyo Bay was a vast floodplain where 2 major rivers, the Tone and Arakawa, flowed in from upstream. This is the area that has turned from green to blue. Nevertheless, each time that flooding occurred, the sediments that flowed from upstream gradually deposited and formed slightly higher areas. A map of the lowlands of Sumida Ward shows that the area west of Hikifune and around Mukojima is slightly higher, where the deposits are stored, colored in yellow. When looking at this from the Asakusa direction, it seems to have been called an island or floating island across the river. It seems that this floating island became Ukeji from Ukeji, which became Ukeji and became a commonplace name. Eventually, this slightly higher area became overgrown with vegetation and trees, including pine trees. The whole area around here was called Iozaki, and the woodland area was called Chiyo's no Mori, where a small inari shrine was enshrined. This Edo Mishozu is a detailed depiction by Hasegawa Seton of this area afterwards. In December 1702, Chibasho Ichiba founded Shugendo's Chibayama Manganji, which became a separate temple, i.e. the temple in charge of the inari shrine, and painstakingly rebuilt Chiyo's inari, which in the past had been little more than a small shrine, into a larger temple. Later, Akiba Gonjin, the god of fire prevention in Shizuoka, was offered to the temple, providing emotional support for the people of Edo, where fires were frequent. The area around Manganji Temple became famous for its forest fountain with ponds and trees, and for the many autumn leaves that were planted. The temple was also worshipped by feudal lords and their wives as a god of fire protection, and many lanterns still remain in the precincts of the temple. The current electric town of Akihabara derives from Akibapara, a fire protection area where Akiba Shrine is located. Because it attracted so many people, there were 3 restaurants in the precinct that became very famous. These restaurants specialized mainly in carp and river fish cuisine, and all 3 are depicted in Hiroshige's Guide to Restaurants in Edo. The first restaurant is Hiraishi, where a master is depicted guiding Mukojima geisha, led by a sycophant. The second house is Musashiya, depicting Edo townspeople playing geisha while carp dishes are being served. Outside on the right, you can also see many ponds and donated lanterns. The third house, Daishichi, is a place where the summer evening cools down, and townspeople and Mukojima geisha are chatting and laughing while wiping off their sweat. The restaurant on the other side of the pond is probably the Ryota-e Daishichi. I actually went to this place, but there is no shrine with such a large garden anywhere. I managed to find the shrine building by going down a narrow alley surrounded by houses from the busy Mito Kaido road. More than 10 years after Hiroshige painted this picture, in 1868, due to the new government's decree separating Shintoism and Buddhism, Manganji Temple, which was a separate temple, was abolished and its name was changed to Akiba Shrine. Later, the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 destroyed the shrine, and although it was temporarily reconstructed, it was destroyed by war during World War II. According to the records, the company's land must have been nearly 7,000 tsubo, about 23,000 square meters, but today it is less than 300 tsubo when I look around. Furthermore, a 4-lane Mito Kaido road like this one runs right through the middle of what was then the site. The current state of the pond is shown in Hiroshige's painting. This is a street view of the area around Cherry Blossom Children's Park, where the pond would have been located at that time. However, it is so far removed from the painting that I have inserted the area around the current shrine building. I was surprised to see how much things have changed in only 170 years since Hiroshige painted this picture. According to an aerial photograph taken on April 2, 1945 by the U.S. Army in the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration, the Great Tokyo Air Raid burned down the entire downtown area from the Akiba Shrine area to Fukuoka in the south. Ironically, it appears that even Akiba Dagonjin, a deity specializing in fire protection, was no match for the bare human warfare. The vast popular tourist attraction, burned to the ground by the U.S. military, has now lost its pond and foliage, and only the cozy shrine pavilion, guardian dogs, and lanterns stand quietly in the shade of the trees.